and Andy, who co-produced it, and Simon and Martin, who did the effects.
Very good. Now this is a session for you to ask questions, so please, if you do have a question, put up your hand and wait for a microphone to get to you. I'm going to start by asking you, Richard, about the Dostoevsky, what drew you to this particular story and then your approach to its adaptation.
Well, it wasn't my idea to adapt it. It was that Arvi Karim, who I wrote it with, and yeah, it's not the best anecdote. I guess he presumably had the idea at some stage. And I just thought the book was the premise of it was so interesting that someone so invisible that if their exact replica appears, no one even notices, seemed funny to me. And also that when that person points it out to other people, everyone goes, yeah, I suppose, you know. And that's as remarkable as they find it. Just seemed very interesting. I hadn't really felt like I'd read anything like that.
You mentioned, and I think it's definitely worth drawing attention to David Crank's production design, because this is a really... I think there's such an extraordinary collaboration in realising that very particular vision that you put, that you create with this world. Can you talk about the visual ideas behind the film?
I mean, he's very good, David. It's great, and I suppose the idea was slightly as if, you know, if you say have like a Finnish information film in the 50s, what they would think the future would look like. So nothing in, you know, those Finnish information films. But so nothing in it looks historically accurate because none of that stuff was ever made, and neither is it in the future because it's already obsolete. So it's just a alternate, odd misjudgment, which is hopefully my headstone. And then, you know, I mean, he does the bulk of it, I'd say, in terms of the work. And so, you know, you have that as an idea, and it was all going to be at night, and so that leads to a certain kind of, you know, you need to light it then, and, you know, stuff like that.
Jesse, can I ask you at what stage you became involved in the film, and also, I think, the challenges of performing two versions of a character?
I actually got involved, like, even prior to reading the script, because I met with Richard and I saw his movie, and he told me that he was writing a doppelganger movie, and it sounded, you know, obviously really interesting as an actor to have the opportunity to do something like that, and I watched his movie and thought that I would do anything for him, because you could tell from that movie how great the acting is in it, that you could tell that the director worked so wonderfully with the actors. Every role, irrespective of size, is so wonderful and so unique and special.
That was Transformers too.
Yep.
The second unit on. The second unit. Some of the cut shots.
And then, you know, the challenges were, I guess, mostly technical and boring to address in a forum like this. But it was mostly just a lot of fun because, you know, you can kind of, you know, use your imagination. You know, a lot of times when you're working with like another actor, which is always the, you know, case in any kind of traditional movie, you're trying to like strip away what they are personally, and just think of them as the character. And in a situation like this, if there was a scene where I was performing alongside myself, I could kind of just use my imagination and not have to, you know, have the obstacle of stripping away what you know about the person.
Are there other questions in the audience?
She withdrew the question.
Is she just having a yawn? No? No.
I think we are.
Thank you for the fascinating film. Just wanted to ask who's Lydia?
Sorry?
Who's Lydia?
Lydia's my wife. An incredible surprise that someone chose to spend some time with me. She made it through the ceremony and is still drawing the name of the union. She's not dead, you know. She's very much alive. And good, you know, I really do know she's very you want to eat or? That's good news for box office. If you don't mind, we might put that on the poster. And we'll get the details later. Oh, good, okay. Slow in a good way. That could work. Okay. Okay.
It was just perfect, you know, it was just as long as, but you kind of...
Just long enough. That's what we're going for, right up until terminal boredom. Why did we make it so slow?
I wanted to say that it was perfect time.
Okay, that's great. So you should leave with that. But with the Japanese music, I saw the Blue Comets on a rerun of Ed Sullivan ages ago, and just really liked, you know, the song Blue Chateau, which I guess was their big hit, and then just looked into, you know, their, well, I bought a record. I mean, there's not much more to say than that, and just always thought it would be good music to be in a film, and then I was in Atlanta in the hit movie The Watch. I've not seen it, but I've heard it's maybe the best film of all time. I'm really excited to see it one day. I don't, it's kind of like when you want to say about Proust, you know, you don't know. And they had a 60s radio, and Sukiyaki was on that a lot. And yeah, then just Amazon recommends. And then we thought what really complemented it is making it quite slow. So we got stuck and down to the region to throw people off. Let's just make it drag. Send it out into the world.
We have another one.
So I really enjoyed it. Obviously, it was really good. But I thought it was very funny as well, which is excellent characteristic of you as a director, obviously. But I was wondering if there was some conscious dark waves references, because if there were, that makes it even better. For example, the priest running to the show in the living grave, and this thing, and some of those quick cuts and stuff like that. I thought it was great. Like, about the continuity.
I mean, it's not a huge demographic to draw on as a reference. So, not consciously, really, priests running with shovels is an area I feel like mastered. Not particularly, I just like it in films when people watch films or read books. I mean, again, just to slow things. But it's nice, you know, when you see people consuming media in some way, and then it's interesting to make those shows that they watch, or, you know, all the currency in the film we made, or, you know, so it's, you know, we have a lot of time on our hands. Oh, yeah. Thanks for being one of the 9 people who...
Hi, really enjoyed the film. Maybe this is something for the comparisons. Drawing a parallel with Orson Welles, and when he did the trial, he famously said he thought Joseph Kay was guilty as hell.
Yeah.
As a writer and director, what's your position on Simon? Is he really underneath it all guilty as hell?
Well, I mean, the trial is brilliant. I mean, his version of it is so funny, I think. And in a sense, yeah, I mean, I don't view Simon as blameless and like he's just some innocent man. And that, I mean, the idea always was that, I guess in a more standard approach to this, the doppelganger would arrive, page 10 doppelganger arrives, which would make it like an ant invasion film. Like everything was fine until this fellow turned up. But really the double comes out of Simon's inability to marshal his response to the world. So, yeah, I mean, it comes from him, so he's certainly not blameless.
I like the ambiguity.
I'd
Okay.
like Jessie to talk about as well in terms of your approach to the role. Were you thinking of him as kind of 2 different characters or as a spinning out of the same?
Yeah, they couldn't exist on their own in any sustainable way. Simon is so full of self-doubt and insecurity, and he's so feeble, and he really can't exist on his own. And James, you know, conversely, has an excess of all of that stuff, and he couldn't exist too because he'd be a danger to himself and to others. So they both need each other in a way, so they're really kind of like opposite sides of the same psyche rather than, you know, kind of 2 separate and fully formed people.
I wanted to congratulate both of you for a really powerful film. Someone raised a bit of the question I had is, because what I found is you captured really well this. I haven't read the book, but I know what the existence of how the struggle to accept oneself, which you can see with the main character that you play really well, is trying to. And so the question I had was whether Simon, what was James for Simon actually, for both of you, if you could answer shortly. I'm interested to know who is James for Simon. It's a bit what you were asking, which is it a different version of himself, or is it actually he himself? Is James actually Simon?
Jesse, you want to pass this one?
Yeah, James is, I mean, if you look at it as like Simon needing to self-actualize, then James represents an important aspect of his journey of self-actualization, because, you know, Simon can't sustain on his own, so he needs somebody like that. But James also represents like another manifestation of the inconveniences in this world. Like everything in Simon's world is inconvenient, from the elevator doors to the cubicle height to all of the technology he's forced to work with. And James represents like the, you know, probably furthest personification of that inconvenience, which is like a human being who twists you in every way. Is that right?
Yeah, that's good.
The second.
Could take one last question, I think, over here.
Basically, I noticed obviously you used Chris O'Dowd and Chris Norris in it. What? I said Morris.
You perform together a lot. Sure. You're basically saying, why the hell would they do it? Yeah. You're right, they're both very successful people, and surely they should have more work than that to do this. But I did ask them, rather than film them without part of the journey that I like to begin. Yeah, I'm trying to think of an anecdote, but yeah, I asked them, and they, you know, they said yes. But it doesn't divide you two. You look like a great couple. Just keep working on it. You know, Morris, it doesn't matter. He sometimes calls himself Morris.
Just a quick question, really enjoyed the film. I just couldn't help wondering if your main character's confidence could have been improved by wearing women's slacks.
Referring to a scene from Social Network. It's a reference specifically designed to exclude you.
Oh.
And you, yeah.
I didn't hear it, but I'm worried that I might have.
Yeah.
Probably better in ignorance.
Maybe, who knows?
I think most people are empowered by wearing women's slacks, quite frankly.
Yeah.
On that fine note.
I think it's a bit of clothes. I think it's the young field all would have wanted.
Will you please join me in thanking